this video, I'm gonna walk through the organic recruitment funnel. I have a bunch of shit planned. This is probably gonna be like one of my best videos to date, the most valuable. Whether you're gonna start your own personal brand or if you're the founder slash owner of a company and you want to incorporate this into your corporate brand, it's gonna be so valuable. We're gonna walk through what the actual funnel looks like, the top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, how to actually make the different pillars of content for each of those different stages, and just the overall strategy for executing on the organic recruitment funnel. By the end of this video, you're gonna be able to go off on your own and actually take action and know where to start. So without further ado, let's get into the video. This is what the actual funnel looks like. So for the top of funnel, all we're trying to do is get followers. We can do reel ads, story ads, carousel ads, viral reels, and boosted reels. The bigger your budget, the better. But as you can see, we can't really get the follow if our account isn't super optimized. If you have a personal brand, the key things that you want to make sure that you have is a good profile pic where your face takes up the majority of the frame. It's clear, people will recognize you. A simple username, so just your first and last name, no underscores. A title and your company at, so as you can see, founder and CEO at Grow Acquisition, founder at growthsolutions.io, and then a CTA, so DM keyword to learn how to make 30K in a summer, for example, if you're a sales manager. And then instead of actually like linking a landing page or your company website, you'll actually link your YouTube video. The reason why is because in 2025, people are sophisticated. They don't want to be sold. They know what the funnel actually looks like. And so our focus is just on providing a bunch of value and building a bunch of trust. And then we make an ask and we indoctrinate them so much that it becomes inevitable that they actually buy from us. So you'll have your YouTube linked in bio, and then you'll have story highlights. A pretty common practice is having something that says start here. This is where you'll run through your past experience, what you're doing, a little bit of your case studies and your clients, and then maybe a CTA to like DM to learn more. As a sales manager, you're gonna have most of the people that you're getting on a call with, most of them will be booked through your DMs until your personal brand's at a certain scale and you have a lot of content. And then you'll have people applying through your YouTube description, which we'll get into later. Your story highlights is where you encourage a lot more of those people to DM you. And so the pillars in the stories are personality, proof, and indoctrination. For indoctrination, you need to get super clear on what beliefs you need your ICP to have in order for them to buy, as well as what limiting beliefs do they have that needs to be resolved and handled before they can buy. And then you basically do that by providing value, handles those limiting beliefs and creates those new beliefs in order for it to be a no-brainer that they do actually buy. Hope that makes sense. And then for your company brand, you'll have your logo as the profile pic, a simple username, what you do, which is actually informed by your whole brand and marketing strategy. There's countless other companies to get inspiration from. And then another important part is to have a CTA. It can be DM, a keyword to learn more, or it can be link in bio to learn more. And then story highlights. So in the story highlights, you want to share the lifestyle that your vehicle provides, the achievements, and what other future reps can expect to achieve, as well as just an overview of how your actual opportunity works. So once they follow, you're going to want to nurture them, and the purpose of nurturing them is so that they gain trust with you. And the way we do that is through short form stories and carousels, and then through the stories and the short form, we drive them to the long form and lead magnets. And so you can provide a little bit of value in short form, but it really is just to gain more attention and gain more trust through showing your personality, as well as the proof that you actually know what you're talking about. And then when people actually extract the most value is in the long form videos. And so at the end of your short form videos, you'll have DM keyword, and I'll send you the link. And the link will be either a lead magnet or a long form YouTube video. And then same thing with your stories. So we'll later get into how to actually do a story sequence to drive conversion. But in the long form of the lead magnets, you don't want to ask too much. You want to focus and prioritize providing value. So the way you want to actually provide value is by asking yourself, what beliefs do my prospects have that if they have them, then they might not buy, and what beliefs does my prospect need to have in order for them to buy. So for example, if you're in door-to-door, that could be I need my prospect to believe that they can actually make 20K in a summer. I need them to believe that door-to-door is the fastest way to make a lot of money. I need them to believe that sales is the safest starting point to become an entrepreneur. I need them to believe that sales is the number one skill any entrepreneur can equip themselves with, etc., etc. And then another belief, a limiting belief that you want to break, is that that sales is risky, that it's not worth the risk, that you're better off doing 9 to 5. And then also you want to provide value through unique insights. So unique insights are unique and they're useful. So let's say, for example, the way you signed documents in the past is you have to physically mail the paper to your client or whoever, and then they sign it and then they send it back. The new way to do it is to do it online through email. As an example, obviously not the best example, but you get the idea. The more unique, the more contrarian, the better, and the more it's perceived as valuable. Okay, so conversion. Now once you've nurtured them, they have a ton of trust in you, you've built with so much value, you go to the actual conversion event. So this can be a landing page, this can be an event, or this can be a Calendly. And this is specifically for door-to-door sales managers, founders, CEOs, etc. The landing page will have a recruitment video sales letter, as well as, I'll get in later, but what I get all my clients to do is a YouTube funnel. I'll get into that later. Basically, you'll have a landing page, or you'll have an event or a Calendly. I'm just gonna get into all this later. By now, they should already be sold on the opportunity. They should know that it's the right fit, and they should be selling themselves to you. So this step of getting them onboarded and ramped up should be super simple, since all the hard work is in these steps. Okay, so when you're actually making the content, so for short form carousels, even long form, you want to consider these principles. So the first being color theory, not as important when you're focused on providing pure utility. The higher density of utility in the videos, the less you need to worry about the actual aesthetics and how it makes people feel. But for carousels and short forms, when you're going to be doing a lot of like trends and edits and lifestyle stuff, you want to make sure that it follows all these principles and it'll just feel right. So it's hard to explain, but like, you know, when you see something hideous and you know when you see something beautiful, that's basically what I'm going to be teaching you here, is how to create more beautiful shots and pictures. So color theory, so either pick analogous or complementary colors. Yellow is complementary to violets, blues are complementary to oranges, etc., etc. So you can do that in a single frame, or you could do that split up. So in a carousel, let's say one color is blue, or one picture is blue, the next picture is orange. Or I can have it so that in the picture there's a bright sun and then like a blue ocean, for example. And that will make it look a lot better. And then next is rule of thirds. This is like the most basic rule that you need to always remember. Debatably the most important principle out of all these principles I'm about to share. And it's basically just splitting up your videos and your pictures by thirds. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can just do this natively. If you have an iPhone, you can turn on the grid and it'll have 3x3 grid. The next principle is leading lines. So this adds a little bit of more interest and it makes the eyes move more. So just like keep in mind where your eyes moves when you see this picture. Just naturally goes to the center here. Same thing. Just naturally goes to the subject. So the reason why leading lines is good is it really just emphasizes whatever the subject is. Now this is a mixture of framing and leading lines. So is this. But basically same idea. And then anticipation, implied motion, and decisive moment. So one company that's really good at this is UVU. They're a running brand. But the reason why this is good is that they're obviously candid, as well as it's more interesting. It's a lot more intriguing and it's hard to replicate or try to like make fake, basically. So those are like the actual creative principles. The next principles that you should be aware of is status delta. Status delta is just the difference between your status and your prospect status. Drake obviously has a ton of status delta, The reason why we know that is because he's a hit artist. He has all this money. He has famous friends. He has women around him, etc., etc. And so the ways you actually establish status delta is obviously just like who you are, but also you can communicate it through pictures. So having women in your pictures, unique locations, working with your entrepreneurial friends, and then just luxury cars, luxury spaces. So you're gonna wanna leverage pre-selection and social proof. It shows that you're trustworthy, charismatic, fun to be around. Further helps create new connections. People think this guy seems cool rather than who is he? This guy seems weird. Like if you just have pictures of yourself, people are going to be like, this guy's a loner. People are naturally attracted to things that other people are attracted to. And so that's basically the idea of these types of pictures. For deciding what pic to use, consider what their actual Instagram, whatever their social presence looks like. How are they looking at you? So are they looking at you like they hate you, or are they looking at you like they admire you? What are you guys doing? And then clothes, location, etc. So actual activities and locations. Obviously, you want to just basically flaunt that you have a lavish lifestyle, that you have access to scarce resources. So very few people are going on helicopters. Very few people get front row at a basketball game. And then obviously on a yacht, dinner, just a great picture for multiple reasons. Leading lines, the light, obviously the status delta that comes with it. So show your lifestyle and your access to experiences. If you live an adventurous lifestyle, share that and you'll attract other peoples who like that. If you're working all the time working cool places, and share that, and you'll attract the same people. And then there's just miscellaneous stuff. Same idea, share the scarce resources, show that you have good style, show that you have Margiela tabbies, show that you have Ramoas and Hollywood Emil and designer clothing, basically attracting people via abundance of scarce resources. I have a full video that goes into how to make carousels, so I won't get into this, but all of these principles don't only apply to carousels, they also apply to reels. So the type of reels that you actually make, there's 3 main types. So there's trends and edits, there's storytelling, and then there's value. So for the trends and edits is when you actually want to leverage the status delta principles the most. There's a few different ways to make trends and edits. So the do-it-yourself way, so this is where you gain a bunch of inspo. So you just make folders in Instagram or an app like Cosmos, where you save all your inspiration there, and you basically just download it, upload it into your video editing software, and then you match all the clips to the sound. And then once you actually get good and you get used to doing it, then you can experiment and go on your own style. Then if you don't want to do it yourself and you have a small budget, let's say $200 to $500 a month that you're willing to spend on social media, you'll set up a content rewards campaign. So you can just pause here, take a screenshot, then copy and paste, and then match this up to yourself. But you'll give them a brief. This is what the content rewards program actually looks like. So the way it works is you pay per 1,000 views. So random people will come into your WAP. They'll get access to all your video assets, and then they'll make videos and content for you. And then they post it on their own accounts, and you pay them, let's say $3 per 1,000 views. If they get 3,000 views, you'll pay them $9. And so on and so forth. And there's a bunch of different settings you can play around with. I've made another video on that. If you want to learn how to do this, then go find that video. And then if you have a bigger budget, this is basically what it'll look like. You basically just give a Google Drive to a video editor, and then on a certain cadence, they'll edit those videos, say every other day or every day. And then if it's good, then you post it. If it's not good, then you give feedback. And then you'll use something like a Notion or another project management tool to make sure that everything's on a content calendar and scheduled, and you're posting every day. Let's talk about storytelling short form content. I'll actually just provide these things in a link below the description, or you can join the WAP where we have all this stuff. But this is the different story structures to follow. So there's the hero's journey, man in a hole, and about me. So if any of these interest you, if you want to do more storytelling content, go to the description. I'll provide the link to the actual asset where it has all this. And then for value, there's a few ways to go about it. You can do scripted or you can do podcast style. For podcast style, it's super simple. Just set up a mock podcast room and then give a friend a bunch of your questions to ask you. To get those questions, just prompt ChatGPT and tell it who your ICP is, who you are, the purpose of the content, your style, your tone of voice, etc. Another way to go about value content is scripted. If you have a small budget or you want to do it yourself, you'll basically make sure the hook is good. The first 2 to 4 seconds matter the most. Use some of these so you can pause here and screenshot these. You basically film the content and then you edit it, and then if it's good, then you post. If it's not good, you provide feedback and then it gets re-edited. This is if you have a small budget, so a budget just for an editor. If you have a similar size budget, but you also have technical skill, then you can have an end-to-end automation. This is an example of one we give all our clients. And so on a form submission, you put in a username of an Instagram that you like. It'll scrape all the recent reels, and then from there, it takes the transcript, puts it into a database, and then rewrites the transcript for the personal brand. So let's say I want it for my own. It knows what my brand identity is, and then it rewrites that script for my own brand, and then all I have to do is just read it out. I'd give it to an editor and they'd edit it. And now if you have a big budget, you'd probably have a creative director actually like script writing and giving you content ideas and putting it in the calendar. Maybe even they leverage an agentic workflow like what this is. So you put it in the content calendar, this Notion database that I showed earlier, and then if you like it, then you'll film it. If you don't like it, you'll say no and your reason why, and then they'll update it. And then once you film it, you upload it back into the project management tool, and then they edit and create a thumbnail if it's a YouTube video. And then if it's good, you post it. If it's not good, then either you or the creative director gives feedback on what to change, and then it gets updated and improved. So that's short form in carousels. Next up, you're gonna be gaining a lot of followers. So now we want to actually convert that initial attention to long form videos, lead magnets, and to actually buy or DM you. This is debatably like the step that most people actually like get wrong, or it's like not intuitive at all. But if you're a salesperson, a lot of this will make sense. This is more or less the order you want to go through. You want to assure that you have each of these in a sequence. Now, it doesn't have to be like 8 stories long. It could be 2 stories, it could be 3 stories, it could be 5 stories long. But this is just an example. So the first story, or at least the first line of your sequence, you want to set the frame. So set the tone, make it interesting and appealing. This is obviously good because there's something special to announce. People are like, ooh, what's this? And then also there's obviously beautiful women and a jacked dude and in some luxury location. So people are like, oh shit, let me pay attention. And then authority. So trigger status bias and social association. So if you master social aura as an entrepreneur, you get massive exposure and conversion. You know these moments you feel massive FOMO towards someone else. He's growing too quick. He seems like everything is working out. This basically is your sales thesis. This is the intro where you introduce your thesis on why a vehicle or opportunity is a no-brainer for if you are the person who wants to achieve X. For an example, if this was me, if I was writing my story sequence, I would be like, the organic recruitment funnel is the only way that you can scale your team with minimum work and avoiding fucking school booths and whatnot. And then once you've set the tone and you've shared your thesis, you want to reframe it and create cognitive dissonance. Your online, this is where you kind of like make them realize their limiting beliefs and what's wrong with their life. So your online business is going well. You want to get rich by snapping your fingers just from Instagram. Have a circle of the most high value entrepreneurs around you and being around lots of girls when you feel like it. Increase revenue based on status you gain. People pay when they see others do good. Think about how Imam became big and how unimportant his offer is compared to his brand and social aura. So this is furthering your whole thesis. This is where you actually say what the benefits of the solution is. Next, you want to actually provide the solution, so it positions you, your system, as the secret weapon. And so this is where you get into the actual activities and insights that are able to achieve the results mentioned in the story before. So over the past 2 years, I've traveled around the world, getting into the most insane circles and places for free, grew my brand to 195,000 followers that I can market any offer to, get offers to connect, stay, and network in the highest level places. This is actually just building more status, more authority, and just basically just sharing, like, I've been able to do this. And then you want to build some scarcity and some urgency. 2025 onwards is changing the content game. It's not a matter of how good you are in business or how strong your offer it is. It's the way you position it matters most. To instantly increase your status, sell more, earn more followers, more credibility. You ever thought how the biggest people make the most money? You don't even care about what they do. You instantly have respect. So this is also essentially creating the need for why the solution, why the things previously mentioned are important. My apologies. So I just realized that Futurecast and solution is actually, they're mixed up. So you don't actually bring up the solution until later. So you want to position your systems as the secret weapon. So after keeping everything to yourself for 2 years, decided to open up a spot to work with you. So this is when you actually get into the actual deliverables and what they actually get. So brand positioning to dominate your market, Then you want to actually have the CTA. So have something to make them reach out to you or press a link. So DM me Aura and I'll personally get back to you. Only one spot. Obviously, one spot is really good for scarcity. Yeah, that's basically how you do a story sequence. You really gotta just like probably watch that back a couple times. Like, a lot of people are just like, you want to make money? You want to do commission or salary? You want to make 20K in a summer? Like, sure, that's like a 3 out of 10. But if you learn this technique of actually doing story sequences, you'll be able to make so many more cold prospects turn into sales reps if you do this right. So there's a few reasons why you actually want to run a story sequence. One is to get them to DM you to actually close them or book an interview. The next one is to make them gain access to a lead magnet. So a free resource where you basically nurture them, and then in the lead magnet you'd give an ask for like, join our event, and I'll get into that later. Or it's just a link to a YouTube video. So this is the YouTube funnel. This is what Iman does. So in every single video of his, at the end of the video, he has his video sales letter. For you, this would be your recruitment video sales letter. And then he also has it linked in the description. This video has 2.2 million views now. I think it's probably up to like 2.4, 2.5. And then in the description of the video sales letter, he actually has the landing page where you enter your information. This is what I see no one doing. If you start doing it, I have a whole video on how to actually write the recruitment video sales letter. And it's like, I paid thousands of dollars to learn how to do it, so it's really good. And then obviously if you become a client, we write that for you and review your own and have even more in-depth training that's like 6 times the length of this. But for your thumbnails, make sure that the text complements the title and it doesn't repeat itself. So this is actually a terrible thumbnail. The reason being is that it really just communicates the same thing twice. So recruitment video sales letter formula, how to write a recruitment video sales letter. This is before I actually learned this technique of thumbnail best practices. If I were to remake this thumbnail, I'd have recruit door-to-door sales reps online, and then how to write a recruitment video sales letter. Another best practice for the thumbnails is introduce your premise of video with 4 words or less. Makes sense. It should make sense even if you don't read the title. And then this is optional, but this is encouraged. It'll obviously get way more attention if it incites some sort of negative emotion such as controversy or fear. So that's the YouTube thumbnail. You'll basically just be providing a ton of value in these videos, breaking their limiting beliefs, creating new beliefs, and then they'll go to this video where they actually book the call or book the interview or book the event. Another way to actually nurture them is through lead magnets. And the thing that's actually like working right now that I don't really see anyone talking about is interactive lead magnets. So these are lead magnets that update and are unique to each person. And because of AI, we're actually able to do this at scale. So this is an example of one. So when they fill out the form, it basically goes to an agent, which is just like a ChatGPT, and it starts creating an asset. It then sends it to the next agent, which kind of finalizes it and puts it all together in a persuasive manner. And then it gives it to a quality assurance agent, make sure that everything fits a certain criteria within that agent. We have a checklist for the actual output to follow. And then from there, if it doesn't match it, it'll give that feedback to the refinement agent, where it takes the feedback from the QA agent and improves it. And then we upload it, and then we send an email back to that person who filled out the form. And then there's some other best practices, like have your Calendly linked in your lead magnet, make sure that it provides a ton of value, all that good stuff. But I'll save that for another video. And then events. So go to student groups, see if you can co-host or speak an event that they're having, such as a mental health event. You can go in, talk about mental health, talk about your own story, and then at the end of your little talk, pitch them the next event. So be like, next Sunday we're actually having another event where it's more entrepreneur focused, and then you'll have like maybe 2 speakers. The first speaker is just focused on providing value, basically alley-ooping you to sell everyone that's there. So they would break the limiting beliefs that they might have around commission-only jobs or taking risks on themselves, and then obviously providing value through providing unique insights and unique activities that are obviously aligned with their goals. And then you'd basically just pitch them all, and then they'd get into your funnel and you'd have an interview with them, everyone who's interested. So that is a high level overview of the organic recruitment funnel. Obviously I can go way more in depth into all of these subjects, but honestly, if I were in your position, I barely posted any content, I would start with a recruitment video sales letter. So I'd watch this video and then I'd write one. The reason being is that once you write it, it actually informs your whole content strategy. And once you have ideas of what content to make, then I'd start posting immediately. So I'd start posting, maybe have one long form video first, one recruitment video sales letter, and then some short form content. And then I'd basically make sure that once I actually start getting attention, they have somewhere to go. Like, you could start with short form content, but the bad thing about starting with it is that once you start getting attention, they might follow you, but they're not going to act and press your link in bio right away or DM you. So make sure that you have somewhere that they can go that will nurture them even more of that bottom or middle of funnel. And you're golden. Like, you don't need a big budget. Obviously you can do a lot better. You can do a lot more if you have some sort of money that you can play around with the team, but you don't necessarily need it. All that matters is taking action. So hopefully this gave you enough clarity on what action to take. Obviously you don't need to do the lead magnet, but the actual short form, long form content is of the utmost importance. The easiest thing that you can do right away is just make sure that your profile is something like these. And yeah, you should be good. So go watch the recruitment video sales letter. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And then I'm also going to provide the link to the story structures in the description, as well as, I'll just provide the story structures in the description, and then I'll also provide the WAP in the description as well. So if you want more access to courses on how to do all of these things, how to create this automation, how to do long form, how to do short form, etc., it's just $27 a month. And you can ask us any questions. We have a weekly one-on-one or a weekly group call. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.